Lonely Among Us. The Enterprise provides transportation to two delegations who are constantly at odds with each other and act like freaking cartoon characters and make me want to punch through the screen. One race is dog people and the other is snake people, and the crew constantly gets annoyed with them because they're so stupid.
Right from the beginning, we have the same thing that I've been complaining about, which is how the show portrays foreign cultures. The aliens are always making all these dumb noises.
Here the Antikins.
About 100 meters apart.
Is that all right?
No.
Both races are seeking membership in the Federation.
What a bad way to show that you're worthy of it.
Letting Serpentor into any group is probably a bad idea. And both races constantly verbally and physically threaten each other. Yeah, they seem like a great addition to the Federation. They even accidentally attack members of the Enterprise.
What the hell?
Don't they have some kind of screening process? I feel like part of the reason they make so many animal noises is because they just look like animals.
But at the same time, they're also intelligent enough that they're being considered for entrance into the Federation.
I would like to see a list of who's in the Federation, if they're considering letting these two in. The dog aliens freak everyone out because they eat fresh meat.
Live animals were beamed aboard. We were going to preserve the meat for them, but they say we must bring it to them alive.
And everyone is aghast at their utter barbarity.
They do the typical Star Trek thing of pretending to respect other cultures, but every time they show another culture, they portray them as savages and being of lower class than normal humans in Starfleet. And the whole subplot of the two warring species basically gets dropped until the very end. The main plot is the Enterprise flying into a space cloud of weird energy, and a weird energy being gets into the ship and starts hopping from person to person.
The way it gets on the ship initially is through Worf, and he does the best Worf face and the best Worf fall, and it's just awesome all the way. Please talk about Beverly's ridiculous Dragon Ball Z Scouter helmet.
Well, it was my favorite thing about the episode. If I could have one prop from Star Trek, that would be it, and I would wear it everywhere. We see Data channeling Sherlock Holmes for the first time, and he's even smoking a pipe. Holmes also shot up cocaine. How far is Data taking it? And smoking a pipe on a ship doesn't seem like something that would be allowed, but they treat it like it's amusing, and everyone just kind of exchanges looks with dumb smiles on their faces.
Tasha always joins in with those looks. She's trying to disassociate herself from his dorkiness and wants people to forget that they were intimate earlier. Eventually, the entity makes its way to Picard, and when he gets possessed, it's incredibly obvious he is not himself, and other officers bring it up, but then immediately dismiss it as, I'm sure it's nothing.
When Picard first gets taken over, it happens right next to Geordi, right out on the bridge, and Geordi's like, "Are you okay? I thought I saw something." There's bright electricity and all this noise, but no one else out of all these highly trained officers notices anything.
And Worf also got zapped the exact same way in front of Geordi earlier. All of my suspicions would be confirmed immediately after listening to Picard give his heading like he's on a freaking game show.
In that case, make our heading 925 Mach 3. 7.
Then Picard starts zapping everyone on the bridge. They all overreact in the most ridiculous way possible. Troy is probably my favorite because she puts her hands over her face, but apparently doesn't know how hands work. And Worf has that weird line of dialogue.
Beverly keeps looking around like she's blind, not like it's too bright for her eyes, but like she literally can't see.
It's no wonder they kicked her ass off the show. The entity wants to go back out to the energy cloud where it came from, and since it's possessing Picard, he's going too, so he beams himself out into space. Somehow, being only energy at this point, he manages to re-infiltrate the ship's computer, and the crew manages to reconstitute him into matter, using the transporter.
It raises questions about how the transporters work, because it makes it seem like it's not the real Picard, or at least not the same Picard, because the pattern they use is from before he went out, but nobody seems worried about it, when in real life, I think a lot of people would have objections to it.
And also, the original Picard could still be energy in that cloud for the rest of existence, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking.
They never fully explore how the transporter can be used and the moral and ethical ramifications of experimenting with it. Doesn't Starfleet have entire teams of people who study how transporters work and that's their job? It almost seems like it's technology beyond their time that they just use anyway. Whenever something goes wrong, they all seem like they're in the dark, including the transporter chief, who should be the authority on the subject.
And there's such a range of things that go wrong with it over the course of this show, and even the original show, and this is decades later. You would think they would have ironed some of the kinks out by now. At the very end, after Picard gets reassembled, Tasha bursts in and is like, "We found a puddle of blood." And Riker just says, "Could you not interrupt? Couldn't this wait?"
Well, at this point, I had completely forgotten about the snake and dog people. It almost would have been better if they hadn't brought that up.
Agreed.
Lonely Among Us. Overall?
It's definitely a stronger episode than most of what has come before, but it's still not great. The A-plot circles itself too many times, and the B-plot doesn't resolve at all, which is frustrating. I would give it a C+.
I give it a C-. It's a little stronger than what came before it, but the fact that they throw away the B-plot so completely is almost acknowledgement in the weakness of the writing. The A-plot is definitely intriguing, but there's not enough explanation for these huge decisions, and everything just works out because the episode has to have an ending.